So this is fun. It's fun for me. It's fun for me. So you knew very little about what you were coming to today. So thanks for showing up on those terms.
Thanks for having us.
Thrilled you're here. Recently, we got a chance to sit down and chat a little bit. And I learned a lot about your story that I didn't know. You're here like every service, every weekend. You serve in multiple areas. You guys give faithfully here to the church. Why do you do it? And tell a little bit about the impact in your life and in your family.
We love this place. We moved here in 2004. Our twins were 8 weeks old, but we started seeking a church to go, okay, it's time, about a year later. And we went, and the rest was history. And we loved it from day one. You know, we gave always at that time because we knew this was the place to be. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until a couple years later that, you know, God really moved my heart and was like, okay, it's time. Mm-hmm. And ever since, you know, it just snowballed from there.
He was serving one service, and then he was serving a second service. And then I would say, when are you coming home on Sunday? We're waiting for you to get here. And he would just say, I just love it there. I feel the most alive when I'm serving those people. And if I could do that as a full-time job, I would. He really just like sought after the Lord during that time, really dug deep, opened up his pages of his Bible for the first time. And the Lord really just made him a new man from the inside out. And I think that that's where you had the most fulfillment during that time, was when he was giving. And when I first started serving, I wanted to give back where we were taking the most from, and we were taking a lot from the children's department. And then started serving in a medical team, being a registered nurse. It was an easy thing I could do while I was already here at 9.
So let me ask you a little more. Also, you know, when you're a young family, you come here and you said, hey, we made the decision, we're going to start investing here. We're going to start giving on a regular basis. You know, when you have young kids, like that's a hard season to be giving in. And now you got teenagers and it's more expensive.
I love this question.
It's a difficult season. But so why do you do that? And what keeps you doing that?
I love this question. Do you mind if I take this? Because this is the thing for me. Like I was raised from the time, as long as I can remember, in faith. My parents always said, the Lord has entrusted you with 100%. And when we tithe, we're just giving back that 10% as an act of faith that we trust him with all that we have. So he's allowing us to keep 90. And I was just raised my whole life knowing that that was not mine to keep and that we had to do that. We just feel like if we're not doing what the Lord's calling us to do with our resources, then we've walked into a place of disobedience. And that to us is a scary place to walk.
Here's the thing. It's hard to quantify how God has used you and so many people like you who just show up on a regular basis. And part of today is an opportunity for us to say thank you to you. You have an impact in so many people's lives, and you have no idea the impact that you're having. So today, I have some friends who've come with me who are here, and they want to share a little bit with you about their story. And I want to introduce you first to Jeff and Aubrey McInturf. They're going to share a little bit about their story.
You have to excuse our waterworks that are starting.
Me too. Hi. My name is Aubrey. This is my husband, Jeff. Hi. We've been coming to Mission for about 7 years now. And just a little bit about me. I survived childhood sexual abuse as a little girl, and then again as a teenager. So I survived in darkness for a lot of my life. I met Jeff when I was really young. I left home when I was 17, and I didn't know the Lord at all. There was a lot of abuse in our marriage, and just a lot of darkness. I found myself wanting to go to church, and this was a place where I went with my kids alone, and I would take my kids into the children's services, and it was a place where I could know that they were safe, and I could know that people were loving on them and pouring into them and speaking life into them when I was not in a position to do that well.
I came to church really through her, and when she chose to go to church, I wasn't on board, but I started seeing very positive changes happening with her, and I wanted that. You know, I wanted some of that, so.
And about 2.5 years ago, God gave us the courage to walk through the doors of Celebrate Recovery. And it was there that we found a community of people who loved us where we were.
It's just been an amazing thing to have that resource available at Mission. Just being able to now pour that back into others. I have a great story of that, and working on the production team here since recovery, I was able to pour into one of the people that serves up there with me, and then he in turn poured into another young lady who got baptized here last week. So it's just awesome, and so I'm grateful for your service and just people like you that have poured into me and allowed me to be able to pour into others.
I know what abundant life in Jesus is. I'm able to live that now, and it has a lot to do with people being there and people being in those places that we walked into and loving us and loving our kids. So I just want to extend my thanks to you guys for being here and loving this church and loving this community the way that you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, thank you. So awesome. Thank you, guys. Hi.
My name is Cameron. I am 16 years old. I've been attending Mission for about 2 years now. So my story really starts back when I was growing up. I never went to church growing up. I felt like God was not looking after me. I felt alone and that He just wasn't there. About 2 years ago, my dad, stepmom, and siblings all came to Mission. I thought it was just another church because we had been going back and forth from others many, many times. But I left here feeling like I was at home and I felt safe and welcomed and loved. And eventually to the point where I went to camp, and that was a huge step for me. I joined a tribe. I'm here on Sundays at Anthem and going to tribes on Wednesdays. About a month ago, I got baptized, and that is something that I would never expect myself to do growing up. It was not a part of me, and now it is. That led my mom, actually, to join Starting Point here. She never went to church either, but now she's here, and step by step, she's growing closer with God. I think that because of people like you that serve here continuously every week, you're creating an environment for people like my family to create their story and change their story completely. And that means so much because our walk with God is now stronger than ever, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Give you a hug.
Hi, Kari. I'm Deb Lopez. I've been coming to Mission for about 3 years now. I grew up in a household led by a pedophile, and I went through 12 years of sexual, physical, mental abuse. And I grew up just feeling so unloved, so unworthy. We had went to my youth pastor, and I had let them know this was happening in my home. And the youth pastor said, that sounds a lot like not my problem. And that sounds like something you need to figure out at home, and you just need to be a good daughter and figure that out. And so I kind of went from a place where I always felt unloved and I felt unworthy to have a church tell me, you're unloved, you're unworthy, like, not our problem, you know? So I stayed away from the church for a really long time, like until about 3 years ago when my friend Ashley told me to come here. We loved it, day one. A year in, I decided I was gonna start serving. It wasn't the greatest start to serving because I kind of felt lost in the shuffle. Like, they didn't have my email right, and I just kept not getting messages. And like, you didn't show up. I'm like, I didn't know. And so I started to kind of feel that, like, unwanted again, unloved. Like, maybe my service, maybe I'm not good enough still. Like, I'm just not there. And this is where I lose it because for me, it's because volunteers. So it was when Kenny came in and he asked if he could meet me for coffee, and we met for coffee. And he was just like, he kind of felt my struggle, and I told him, I said, I just don't feel like I have a place here. I don't feel wanted. I don't feel needed. And he was like, that is so ironic because I want you to come and lead us. I want you, see, lose it. He's like, I want you to be a coach, and I want you to be in charge. Like, there's just something special in you that I can't really explain, but I feel like there's a reason you've been here. And that was my moment of like, I really can make a difference. It's people like you, honestly, that get me up Sundays to come back because I know that there's a community and I do have a place and I am lovable. So, thank you.
Thank you.
my story.
You should tell me to wear waterproof, Joel.
So I know that was a little unfair. But
Beautiful.
that's just a few stories of the stories we get to hear all the time that I wanted you to hear. And people like you who give so faithfully, serve so faithfully here. And I'm just curious, like when you hear those stories, like what goes through your head, goes through your heart? Like what are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, my chest is full. I'm just overwhelmed by their stories, and it's just a blessing to hear it because you just really don't think it of yourself, right? Like you just love on people and show up and try to make their day brighter and smile, but you just don't realize the impact it has until someone says something like that. Yeah. That just those little things that seem small to us are monumental to people who are hurting or broken. Yeah. It just doesn't occur to you till you hear it.
I know there are so many stories and in this church, and that's part of the reason why we know where we're supposed to be.
I think the other thing too it reminds me is if you're just willing to let the Lord use your life, even if you don't think you have something to offer, but you say yes and let His will be done, then He just is looking for people to say yes. Yeah. And then He's got the rest. Yeah. So even for people who don't feel qualified, you don't feel like you have what it takes to do that next thing, He just wants someone to say that they're willing and then let Him lead the rest because He'll take it.
That's cool.
And multiply it.
Well, I think that underscores why we wanted to meet with you, is because there's people like you who, on a regular basis, it's just your availability. And as you show up and you serve each week, and as you bring what you have, so that we can really create a church that's for everyone, that meets everyone right where they are, right where they're at. And really today, we just wanted to wrap our arms around you and just say thank you so much for all that you do for all of us.
That's so sweet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.